On the day of my nuptials, I inadvertently exchanged my bridal sedan chair with that of a courtesan from the flower house. Upon realizing the discrepancy and preparing to unveil my face, a barrage of comments appeared before my eyes. The malicious female antagonist remains oblivious to the fact that the sedan chair was intentionally swapped by the male lead. I find her rather pitiable. Her betrothed has exchanged the bridal procession for the sake of his beloved, and instead of becoming the noble consort of a marquis, she is mistakenly wed to the son of a merchant. Do not rush to pity her. The leads have already consummated their union, yet she still insists on compelling the male lead to return the female protagonist to the flower house. When he refuses, she resorts to vengeful schemes, proving to be utterly despicable. She deserves her fate, for she could never have anticipated that the female lead is a princess, lost to the common folk and the daughter of the late emperor. Her attempts to suppress her only served to facilitate their recognition, ultimately leading to her family's demise. I raised an eyebrow. A princess lost to the commoners? Excellent. This identity now belongs to me. 1. Brother Jiang, why do you wear such a grim expression on this joyous day? Indeed, my dear sister-in-law is renowned as the courtesan of Yiku Lu. Brother Jiang is truly fortunate. A coarse voice soon followed. Get lost. Who wants this so-called fortune? Jiang? Courtesan? Upon awakening, I immediately sensed something amiss. Strange voices, unfamiliar surnames, unfamiliar terms, and through the red veil, I glimpsed a rather modest setting. Just as I was about to investigate further, a screen of glowing text appeared before my eyes. The malicious female antagonist remains unaware that the sedan chair was intentionally switched by the male lead using a soporific. How pitiful! Her fiancé exchanged her for his beloved, causing the esteemed daughter of the Grand Marshal to mistakenly marry a merchant's concubine. Pitiful? Our heroine and Yilan have already consummated their marriage while she, relying on her status, forces the heroine back to the flower house. What kind of place is that? Yilan refuses, and she retaliates against them. Truly despicable. But the female antagonist is indeed Yilan's fiancé. The female lead is clearly the mistress. Isn't it justified for the antagonist to deal with her? Only those unloved are called mistresses. The antagonist was ignorant before, but after the marriage swap, the male lead explained his mutual affection with the female lead. Her continued arrogance is simply repulsive. Yilan. The male lead? The sedan chair switch? Is it as I suspected? I clenched my fingers, a glimmer of cold light flashing in my eyes. The text on the screen continued, Do not be angered, our heroine is a princess lost among the common folk. And the antagonist's schemes only serve to reunite her with the emperor. She is ultimately left with a disastrous fate for her entire family. Indeed, the role of the malicious female antagonist is to expedite the heroine's discovery of her true identity, thus fostering the bond between the male lead and the heroine. All her vile schemes will be repaid tenfold by the leads. If the antagonist were to accept her fate as the male second's concubine, perhaps she could still enjoy a favorable outcome. The male second's outward identity is merely that of a merchant's son, but he will eventually rise to become a leader of the righteous army, standing shoulder to shoulder with the male lead. With the antagonist's character of seeking to climb the social ladder, how could she possibly look down on him? I wonder, if the antagonist were to learn of the male second's future achievements, would she attempt to curry favor with him to secure her survival? Here he comes. Jiang Yu is about to enter, witnessing the scene of the antagonist humiliating Jiang Yu in a moment of self-destruction. Before I could decipher the information revealed in the screen, the sound of the door opening and closing echoed. I frowned, lifted the veil directly, and met the man's fierce gaze. The man was handsome, with sharp brows and bright eyes, a prominent nose, yet his expression was fierce. His tall and robust stature indeed bore some resemblance to a leader of a righteous army. He cast a casual glance at me, coldly stating, Buying. Now that you are in the estate, stay in the back courtyard and do not harbor any improper thoughts. I swiftly grabbed a pillow and accurately threw it at his face. Are you blind, mistaking me for a flower house courtesan? Jiang Yu deftly caught the pillow, his anger flaring. Have you lost your mind? I suddenly stood up, my carefully adorned face illuminated by the candlelight. He was momentarily stunned, his voice faltering. You're a snake? 2. The barrage of comments paused for a moment before surging forth. What do you mean you're a snake? Is the male second trying to act cute? No one told me the malicious female antagonist was so beautiful. Upon closer inspection, the female lead, as a courtesan, Seems rather bland. The male lead is somewhat ungrateful. Oh my beautiful sister, come closer. I want to shower you with kisses. What is wrong with you all? Have you already betrayed her? No matter how beautiful she is still the malicious female antagonist. She immediately starts hurling insults at the male second. Just wait. He has already secretly taken note of this. Sister, the male second does not seem to be holding a grudge. He looks rather mesmerized instead. I cast a peculiar glance at Jiang Yu. Indeed, his gaze was fixated on my face, shadows swirling in his eyes. My brows furrowed. And I angrily hurled the veil at him. What are you staring at? Look again, and I'll gouge out your eyes. As the red veil fell, a waft of fragrance enveloped me, and Jiang Yu instinctively sniffed a couple of times, his honey-colored face inexplicably flushing. No way, no way. Has the male second fallen for her already? Haha, can he handle this? This is just the veil. If it were to change to something more revealing, would he not be utterly smitten? My anger intensified. What male second? What righteous army leader? He is clearly a lecher. I searched for anything within reach, grabbing it recklessly and throwing it at him. Jiang Yu snapped back to reality, dodging my attack, and swiftly crossed over to restrain me. Can you speak properly? Ignoring him, I struggled fiercely to break free from his grasp. His hands were large, easily enveloping both of mine, and his strength was astonishing. Unable to escape, I resorted to kicking him, threatening, "Pervert, lecher. Let go of me, or I'll have my father imprison your entire family." Wow, the female antagonist is quite brave, daring to threaten the male second. Does she not know he is inherently rebellious and will not fall for her tricks? She is not brave. She is simply malicious and foolish, accustomed to being a young lady, thinking everyone will cater to her. My delicate fists fell like raindrops upon him. Not painful, but thoroughly irritating. Jiang Yu cursed under his breath and simply trapped me in his embrace, growling, "Calm down. Do you believe I one-teabed you right now?" My body froze, terror flashing in my eyes as I looked at him. Jiang Yu awkwardly licked his lips, continuing in a fierce tone, "Can you speak properly now?" The barrage had already labeled me as the malicious female antagonist. Do I seem like someone easily intimidated? My eyes darted, and with a quivering lip, large tears cascaded down my cheeks. Jiang Yu immediately panicked, releasing me and raising his hands in a gesture of surrender. "Don't cry." "Why are you crying?" "I was just joking. I never intended to bully you." "You don't need to be afraid." My sobs paused, and as I wiped my tears, I peered up at him through my tear-stained eyes. "Really? Damn. So adorable." Jiang Yu seemed as if he had been scalded, quickly averting his gaze, gruffly insisting, "Really, really, really, how could I not be sincere?" As he spoke, he muttered softly, "You pelted me with a flurry of strikes, and I haven't cried yet." Oh my, the female antagonist cries so well. Who could possibly resist that? I have an idea. So do I, the arrogant and stunning young lady versus the rugged yet loyal leader of the righteous army. What a perfect match. Hee hee. 3. After settling the score, Jiang Yu regained his composure, a glimmer of warmth in his eyes dissipating in an instant. Without a hint of hesitation, he declared, "Let us go. I'll escort you to the Marquis residence." It was futile. The events that transpired at the Marquis residence had already been made abundantly clear in the comments. At this moment, my fiancé, Yilan, was likely already in the midst of consummating his union with that female lead. By the time I hurried to the Marquis residence, my fiancé would shamelessly expect me to agree to the marriage swap without protest. And if I disagreed and caused a scene, the entire capital would soon know that I had mistakenly entered the merchant's residence in a sedan chair. While people envied a courtesan becoming a noblewoman, they would also scorn me for not adhering to the duties of a wife, insisting that I accept my fate and marry Jiang Yu. Yilan truly had it all calculated. I pinched my still slightly soft hands, a chill in my gaze. "Please take me back to the Grand Marshal's residence." In the narrative, I found myself delayed at the Marquis's residence, resulting in the almost complete dissolution of the effects of the soporific. Consequently, I failed to discern the orchestrated switch of the bridal palanquin, which deprived me of an opportunity to confront Yilan. This time, I was keen to observe how he could maintain an unblemished demeanor while being in the company of his beloved. Huh? Why is the female antagonist deviating from the plot? The earlier events may have puzzled you, but once the story manifests into reality, characters occasionally exhibit unexpected behaviors. It is quite normal. Meeting Jiang Yu's inquisitive gaze, I lowered my head with a feigned sense of grievance. The virtue of a woman is of paramount importance. Such a grand display in seeking someone out would undoubtedly attract widespread attention. Rather than become the subject of gossip, it would be wiser to return to the Grand Commander's residence and have my parents discreetly intervene to rectify the situation. A flicker of pity crossed Jiang Yu's eyes. You are indeed thoughtful. He assured me, rest assured, this matter will not be divulged from my household tonight. The second male lead truly embodies the essence of a gentleman. Though he could easily let the female antagonist remain, he chooses to send her back. Indeed, this engagement with the female lead was arranged by Zhang's father, and at this juncture, he harbors bias against her. A switch in brides would seem to him a fortuitous windfall. The female antagonist is also quite astute, unlike the mindless portrayal in the book. Yet, this will be of little consequence. The male lead will not permit her to succeed. I cast a glance at the barrage of comments, lowering my gaze to conceal my amusement. I was well aware that my efforts would be in vain. However, my true aim was not what it appeared. I had not forgotten the identity of the female lead that was hinted at in the comments. A princess lost to the common folk? That identity is quite splendid. Having stolen my fiancé, let her compensate for it. According to the revelations from the comments, 16 years prior, the beautiful consort of the emperor, while pregnant, journeyed south with the current sovereign. They encountered a rebellion en route, and amidst the chaos, the consort became separated from the emperor, accompanied only by a few guards and her personal maid, Ru Hua. The rebels pursued them, leading to a fierce battle with the guards. The consort, startled, went into premature labor and was forced to take refuge in a dilapidated temple. To protect the consort, Ru Hua donned the consort's attire to divert the insurgents, leaving the consort alone to give birth in the temple. Fortunately, she encountered troops dispatched by the Emperor Midway, who quelled the rebellion. When they arrived at the temple, they found only the lifeless body of the consort after a difficult childbirth, while the child was nowhere to be found. It was only when the uproar surrounding the switch of bridal palanquins drew the emperor's attention that the female lead was brought forth. Upon seeing her, Ru Hua instantly recognized her resemblance to the long-lost consort and, connecting it to the child from that fateful day, the female lead ultimately gained the emperor's favor, swiftly ascending from a courtesan to a highly esteemed princess. Meanwhile, I, the malicious female antagonist, face execution for my grievances against the female lead and my attempts to usurp her beloved, leading to a decree from the emperor that resulted in my family's annihilation, culminating in my body being discarded in a mass grave to be feasted upon by wild dogs. At this point, a cold smile curled upon my lips. What of the male and female leads? Since they have left me no path for survival, intent on labeling me as the wicked female antagonist, I shall engage in the nefarious deeds befitting such a role. My parents, who have always indulged me, were instantly filled with shock and anger upon seeing me returned home by Jiang Yu. In front of him, I summoned the family physician to examine me, and indeed, it was confirmed that I had been subjected to the soporific. Moreover, I dispatched someone to investigate the Marquis's residence, which had also switched brides but remained silent. The identity of the one who administered the soporific became evident. I lowered my head in feigned sorrow, tears cascading down my cheeks, evoking pity in those who beheld me. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Jiang Yu's expression remained unchanged, yet his gaze darkened ominously. His hands twitched, the blood coursing beneath his skin surged violently, as though stirred by some hidden impulse. This was sufficient. The corners of my mouth lifted slightly as I raised my head again, transforming my expression into one of resolute sorrow. Jiang Gongzi, this matter appears rather suspicious. If you trust me, please allow the Grand Commander's residence to handle it. I assure you, I will uncover the truth and provide both you and myself with an explanation. Jiang Yu's lips moved as he suppressed his fury. Responding, what must I do? Return to Zhang's residence to assure your parents, and then await further news, I instructed. Jiang Yu regarded me intently. Very well. After Jiang Yu departed, my father hurriedly inquired, what on earth is happening? Given your temperament, your reaction to the bridal switch is uncharacteristic. Although he was unaware of the full details, he could discern that my performance was intended for someone. Yet, this made him all the more perplexed. Surely, my interest in Jiang Yu could not be the reason for my visit to his residence? What basis could there be? Merely his rugged appearance? I reassured my parents, father and mother, Some matters cannot be explained at this moment. I will elaborate later. For now, I require your assistance. My father begrudgingly suppressed his anger. What is it? I gazed out at the shadows cast by the branches outside and coldly declared, gather our forces. We shall storm the Marquis's residence and make those treacherous lovers pay. The Grand Commander's residence, lacking in many respects, is nonetheless the overseer of the military forces in the capital. The position of Grand Commander is genuinely powerful, although mobilizing troops requires the Emperor's consent. One can easily gather a small contingent willing to heed the Grand Commander's call. Within the span of a single incense stick, we had surrounded the Marquis's residence. The old Marquis emerged from the back hall, cursing vehemently. Which household dares to assault the estate of a court official? I shall report this to the Emperor and seek justice against you. Before he could finish, the old Marquis fell silent, his gaze shifting from me to the direction of Yilan's courtyard. In-law, what is the meaning of this? And what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be? My father snorted coldly, interrupting his inquiry. I can hardly accept your in-law address. As for why Ware is here, perhaps you should inquire of your good son. The old Marquis, perhaps having misconceived something, turned to me. Has my rebellious son done something foolish? He then shouted, bring that rebellious boy Yilan to me. I replied with indifference, no need, my father has already sent someone to summon the couple. I intentionally emphasized the word couple. Yilan and Baiying could not have suddenly developed feelings for one another. As a father, could he truly be oblivious to the situation? The old Marquis's pupils dilated, clearly grasping the implications. I turned to my father. Father, might I request that you and the old Marquis step aside? I wish to speak with him privately. My father, aware of my keen attention to detail from a young age, readily complied. The old Marquis, sensing his lack of leverage, reluctantly followed my father away, though he appeared indignant. He bore no signs of anxiety, likely underestimating my capacity for outrageous conduct. Even the barrage of comments remained light-hearted. Oh my, the female antagonist is turning the tables. She asked, driving the Grand Commander and the old Marquis out of the Marquis's residence. It's over, she doesn't intend to harm our female lead, does she? Fear not, with the male lead present, the female lead will be unharmed. However, moments later, commotion erupted outside the main hall. How dare you? Who are you? And do you know where you are? Wuwulonga, I'm so scared. Do not fear, this is the Marquis's residence. No one can harm you here. The authoritative voice of a man mingled with the weak cries for help from a woman, accompanied by the sound of military boots striking the stone pavement. As a man and woman clad in nightclothes were escorted in by soldiers, the comments began to erupt. Ladies, I declare that the male and female leads are adorably sweet. Ah, the male lead is head over heels. I'm so envious of the female lead. Could the wicked female antagonist just vanish already? How dare she disrupt the male and female lead's wedding night? Alas, it is too late. The male protagonist has long since engaged in a romantic dalliance with our heroine. The barrage of comments overwhelmingly extols the exquisite love between Yilan and Baiying, while mercilessly vilifying me. I squint and direct my gaze towards the newly arrived man and woman. The woman kneels on the ground, her delicate face pale, trembling as she embodies a pitiful sight. She scarcely dares to raise her eyes to meet mine, her head bowed, revealing the mottled bruises on her neck. It is abundantly clear that she has just engaged in some unsavory act. I briefly glance past her to the man. He is undoubtedly handsome. Even clad merely in a nightgown and forcibly restrained by soldiers, his elegance cannot be concealed. I scrutinize the visage of my former fiancé, whom I have only met a handful of times, and find it hard to fathom how someone who appears so astute could commit the foolishness of switching brides. Without Baiying's recognition, what gave him the audacity to believe he could exchange the daughter of a high-ranking official for a courtesan and escape unscathed? Yilan's expression darkens. Si Qingwei, have you lost your mind? You dare to mobilize troops and storm the Marquis's residence? I cannot help but chuckle, leaning in to tilt his chin upwards, my other hand caressing his face, my alabaster fingertips gently tracing around his eyes in a tender manner. He freezes, unsure if it is the after-effects of his earlier struggles or something else, but his breath grows increasingly rapid and heated. Ah, stop. Female antagonist. Release the male lead and let me take his place. The male lead belongs to the female lead, but I can substitute for him. Let me make the sacrifice. Baiying, her face ashen, suddenly cries out sharply, Brother Lan. Yilan snaps back to reality, a flicker of disdain flashing in his eyes. He forcefully turns his head away from my touch, his throat constricting heavily. Si Qingwei, what are you doing? I smile brightly, my gaze sincere and innocent. I merely wanted to see if your eyes were still functioning. After all, I am quite curious about how you managed to enter the bridal chamber so calmly after the bride was switched. Unless, of course, you orchestrated the switch yourself. His expression betrays a mix of guilt, embarrassment, and a hint of anger at being exposed. He coolly replies, since you are already aware, I have nothing left to conceal. He casts a gentle glance at Baiying, who gazes back at him with tear-filled eyes. Baiying and I are mutually in love, having long since pledged our hearts to one another. It was only due to our parents' disapproval that I resorted to such desperate measures, and I ask for your understanding. Miss C, I am willing to compensate for any losses you may incur. Oh, how moving. The male lead's heartfelt confession is truly tear-jerking. Mountains without peaks. The earth unites, and only then do I dare to sever ties with you. This is their vow. Female antagonist, did you see this? Please spare them. Can you bear to destroy such a magnificent love? Am I moved? I press my hand to my chest, feeling no stirrings within. It seems I truly am the malevolent antagonist. I tilt my head and smirk meaningfully. Very well, I shall grant your wish. Yilan's eyes flicker with a glimmer of hope, only to hear my command. Bring me a knife. What? A momentary question flashes through his mind. But the cold gleam of the blade swiftly darts before his eyes. The next instant, Baiying's piercing scream fills the air. I forcefully slash her face, carving wound after wound. Yilan's eyes widen in rage. Stop. Inger! He struggles fiercely, nearly breaking free from the soldier's grasp. It is only when Baiying's face is a bloodied mess that I drop the knife, admiring my handiwork with satisfaction. Yilan's eyes blaze red, his face contorted with rage, veins bulging like serpents. He fixes his gaze upon me, each word dripping with venom. Si Qingwei, I will kill you. I let out a light laugh, disdainfully patting his face. My former fiancé let me impart a lesson today. When in a position of weakness, do not threaten your adversary. It merely exposes your foolishness. I rise, and amidst Baiying's wails, I calmly instruct, break his jaw. I do not wish to see a single tooth left in young Master Ya's mouth. The screen is ablaze with frantic comments. What am I witnessing? The female lead has been disfigured, and the male lead is to have all his teeth pulled? Is this correct? Am I insane, or has the world gone mad? Surely, we are not watching some tale of the malevolent female antagonist? Perhaps, just perhaps, the malevolent female antagonist has gone mad after being reborn. Earlier, when I mentioned the plot deviating slightly, it was benign, but look at this. This is not normal. The leads are on the brink of insanity at the hands of the wicked female antagonist. I am dizzy. I am filled with rage. The female antagonist must die. What a pathetic plot. I demand a refund. Do not panic. The male lead possesses the protagonist's halo. Someone, come save him. Perhaps there is truth in the barrage's assertions. Yilan indeed possesses the aura of a protagonist. Just as a soldier is about to extract the second tooth, an enraged roar erupts from outside the hall. Stop this at once. The old Marquis storms in, his heart aching at the sight of Yilan's bloodied visage. Lanner, it appears that tonight, the extraction of teeth will not proceed. I shake my head in regret. Withdraw, return to the estate. As I exit, I hear the old Marquis's furious shout, Si Qingwei, I shall report you to the Emperor tomorrow. I will ensure the Taiwei residents cannot bear the consequences. Upon returning to the Taiwei residence, my mother anxiously awaits in the study. I realize it is time to provide an explanation. I dismiss the servants, leaving only the three of us in the room, as my brothers have been sent back to bed by my father. I take a sip of tea to soothe my throat before speaking. Father, mother, I am not your biological child. My father erupts in anger. What do you mean you are not our biological child? My mother furrows her brow, concern etched on her face as she gazes at me. Yes, you are. Whom have you been listening to? How could you possibly not be our biological child? Do you not recall, mother, that you told me that on the day I was born, the midwife had not yet arrived, and I could not wait to emerge from your womb? With my father witnessing my birth firsthand? My expression remains unchanged as I soothingly pat my mother's hand. I know, but I believe I could very well be the biological daughter of the current emperor. I toss this bombshell, leaving my parents bewildered and igniting a frenzy in the comments. What does this mean? The female antagonist is rambling nonsense. Our heroine is the Emperor's daughter. I understand now. The female antagonist has indeed been reborn, which is why she knows she was drugged and stormed the Marquis's residence to disfigure the female lead. All to switch identities. The implications are chilling. I believe the above analysis is correct. What the hell? The world has encountered a glitch. My father, having risen from a humble background to his current position, is exceedingly wise. He quickly connects the dots to the event 16 years ago when the current emperor lost a child. The emperor, now of a wise age, has no children. And there are rumors circulating that he has become obsessed with immortality, avoiding women and refusing to continue the royal line. Yet, as a close minister to the emperor, Siphon knows that the emperor was injured by rebels 16 years ago, rendering him incapable of fathering heirs. Thus, he has turned his focus to seeking enlightenment, neglecting state affairs. Now, the emperor's reluctance to adopt a child from the royal family has left the court in a state of unease, with some already aligning themselves with favored noble heirs. If that child from 16 years ago were still alive, even if a girl, it would bring about a monumental shift in the entire court. His eyes sharpen as he solemnly inquires, speak honestly to your father. Do you know something of significance? I nodded and grasped my father's hand, saying, Father, Mother, I beseech you to lend me your assistance. The malicious supporting character is being delusional. Does she truly believe that usurping an identity is so effortlessly achievable? The protagonist's success is attributed to her resemblance to the enchanting Wang Marin. What does the supporting character possess? Apart from sharing the same age, what else is there? Indeed, the emperor does not merely acknowledge his daughter with empty words. However, the nefarious supporting character has been reborn. She might possess substantial insider knowledge, perhaps even enabling her to succeed. To replace the peach with a plum, the supporting character must address two issues: appearance and token of identity. Appearance is not an obstacle, although she does not resemble the emperor or Wang Marin. She also bears no likeness to her biological parents. The token is also manageable. The mute guard, who is at the Grand Commander's residence, can surely be found to obtain the golden lock left by Wang Marin. What mute guard? Did I overlook something? He was one of the guards who protected Wang Marin, and one survived. When he discovered her, she was already deceased, and the protagonist had been taken away. Fearing retribution, he seized the golden lock from Wang Marin and fled. What a ruthless individual! While escaping, he encountered soldiers conducting a search and, tragically, broke his leg. He then chose to cut out his tongue and mar his face to conceal his identity, eventually finding himself working at the Grand Commander's residence by sheer coincidence. Nonetheless, you seem to have overlooked a critical point. Isn't there still the blood test to confirm kinship? The ancients were unaware that adding alum to water could facilitate blood compatibility. Now I am aware. The token and the blood test. I concealed the mirth in my eyes and grew fonder of the audience on the screen. There is a disfigured mute servant in the residence. I implore you, Father, to locate him, for he possesses what I require. With that, we each set forth on our respective tasks. Just before my parents exited the room, I paused to call out to them, by the way. I have heard that when Wang Marin was with child, the emperor summoned the imperial physician to take her pulse, and the physician concluded that she was carrying a princess. Upon hearing this, my father's expression remained unchanged, but my mother was clearly taken aback. This remark from the supporting character is rather intriguing. What do you mean? I don't understand. The comments on the screen erupted in a cacophony, yet my thoughts were already beyond the barrage of remarks. Human hearts are inscrutable. I am reluctant to speculate on their intentions, yet I am compelled to do so. The palm and the back of the hand are both flesh. The flesh on the palm is undeniably more substantial than that on the back. My parents love me dearly. Yet I also have a biological brother who shares the same mother. One cannot guarantee that my parents will not favor my elder brother more in their considerations. My father's actions were swift. Within half an hour, the golden lock was placed in my hands. That evening, a disfigured mute servant met his demise in the Grand Commander's residence and, to avoid offending the family, was hastily wrapped in straw mats and discarded in a mass grave. Simultaneously, Lord Yong accused the Grand Commander and his daughter of leading soldiers to raid his residence under the cover of night with malicious intent. My father likewise knelt to accuse the heir of the Yong family of administering sleeping powder to his newly wedded wife and surreptitiously switching the bridal palanquin. One faction represented the power of the founding nobility, while the other embodied the integrity of esteemed officials, leading to a tumultuous uproar in the court. Sitting in the high seat, the aged emperor, clad in a Taoist robe, was beset by a pounding headache, promptly delivering punishment. The Grand Commander, Si Fingnian, is to be detained for privately adjusting the military forces and held in the ancestral hall for trial. Si Qingwei, the daughter of the Grand Commander, is to be held for trial for her attack on the Yang residents under the cover of night. The circumstances are pitiable, and her heart is to be understood. The heir of the Yang family, who unfeelingly switched the bridal palanquin under the cover of night, is to receive 20 strokes of punishment in the ancestral hall. Buying. The courtesan of the Quila, knowing well that the heir of the Yang family was treading a path of immorality, still sought to replace the peach with a plum to enter the Yang residence. Her intentions are condemnable, and she is to receive a length of white silk and a cup of poison wine. When the imperial edict reached me, I was in the midst of inscribing Bai Ying's name on a piece of white paper. I couldn't help but glance at the words on the paper, wondering whether this so-called protagonist's halo could protect the heroine. Otherwise, to be condemned to death by one's own biological father would be absurd indeed. It's madness, absolute madness. The world has gone completely insane. The malicious supporting character is on a killing spree. Honestly, I've grown accustomed to viewing this world as a fanfiction. The supporting character is quite remarkable, beautiful, intelligent, and endowed with the advantage of rebirth. How could the protagonists possibly compete with her? What about my knighting couple? Is it doomed to a tragic ending? Worry not, worry not. The situation will surely take a turn for the better. I too am curious how events will unfold. The comments continued anxiously. Some viewers rushed to witness Knight Lan's execution, while others anxiously observed Bai Ying's situation. Though I stepped into the ancestral hall, I was acutely aware of the developments concerning the protagonists. Just transitioned from the protagonist's perspective, it was explosive. The second male lead actually went to rescue the protagonist. I am relieved that the female protagonist is unharmed. Thank you, dear sisters in the comments. I couldn't bear to watch. Everything is in chaos, the plot has turned into a muddled mess, and I can hardly imagine how things will progress from here. Unexpectedly, yet somehow fitting, I suspected that Bai Ying would emerge unscathed, not because I believed in her protagonist's halo, but because I trusted Knight Lan. A man, especially one who is proud and self-assured, would find it unbearable to witness the disfigurement of his beloved right before his eyes. After last night, Knight Lan would undoubtedly ensure that Bai Ying had a safe escape route. To my astonishment, the one who rescued Bai Ying was none other than Jiang Yu. Wasn't he supposed to obediently await news at the Jiang residence? What a disobedient fool. A shadow of darkness veiled my eyes. I knew not whether it was the Emperor's cruel sense of humor, but the ancestral hall imprisoned both Knight Lan and me in adjacent cells. I entered of my own accord while he was carried in by the guards. At that moment, he was pallid, drenched in sweat, sprawled atop a makeshift bed of straw. A far cry from his former radiant self. I had no intention of acknowledging him, yet he seemed to harbor a deep-seated resentment toward me. He lifted his head, his bloodshot eyes glaring at me with such intensity it felt as though he wished to flay me alive. TSK. I impatiently paced over to him, looking down from my elevated stance for a while. Finally, a malicious smile crept onto my lips. Young Master Knight, you presently resemble a dog. Knight Lan stared at me in disbelief, and after a moment, his expression contorted into a snarl. He dug his fingers into his palm, gritting his teeth, his body taut and trembling slightly. I had the distinct impression he might pounce on me and strangle me at any second. Yet he laughed, beginning with a low chuckle that escalated into a manic cackle, his gaze fixed upon me, filled with a complex array of emotions: disdain, fury, mockery, pride, and arrogance. I furrowed my brow in confusion, unable to restrain myself from saying, "Are you out of your mind?" His smile widened. "Si Qingwei, I am aware that you are infatuated with me." My pupils trembled, confirming my suspicion that he had indeed lost his mind. The comments section was flooded with question marks. How did the male lead come to the conclusion that the supporting character harbors feelings for him? It's hard to assess. Does pulling out his teeth equate to affection? Is mocking him for resembling a dog a sign of love? No wonder he can be the male lead. Such confidence is unparalleled. Observing my speechlessness only fueled Knight Lan's self-satisfaction. At the spring banquet, we merely exchanged glances, yet you fell for me at first sight. And upon returning, you even urged your father to subtly suggest a proposal. While I was at your residence, I merely glanced at that painting of a python embracing a pine tree, yet you eagerly arranged for it to be delivered to me. You know me so little. Yet you are aware that I enjoy eating radishes and greens, detest sweet cakes and honey, and that I have a fondness for the inkstone from Luzhou and the paper from Xianzhou. Every gift you presented was impeccably suited to my tastes. The more I listened, the more speechless I became. By the end, the last remnants of my anger dissipated entirely, leaving only a sense of absurdity and amusement. All of this for what? Born into the illustrious residence of the Grand Commandant, I have been acutely aware of my father's arduous endeavors from a tender age, recognizing the stark contrast between the Xi family and those noble clans born of privilege. The Xi family boasts a single high-ranking Grand Commandant, my father. Yet he is the sole bastion of our lineage's power. From the outset, I have steeled myself for a life of devotion to the Xi family. As a daughter, I cannot achieve glory like my brothers. My only recourse is to forge alliances through marriage. Nightlon is indeed a suitor I have carefully chosen. His ancestry is steeped in renown, with a maternal line tracing back to royal blood, and he possesses a handsome visage, making him the most fitting choice for my union. The noble lineage of the Duke of Tu seeks the prestige of my father's esteemed position, while we, in turn, covet their illustrious heritage, an arrangement that seemed mutually advantageous. However, I never anticipated that my demeanor of gentleness and deference, intended to foster harmony in our union, would be misconstrued by Nightlon as irrefutable evidence of my affection for him. Absurd and laughable. A sardonic smile crept across my lips, my gaze turning increasingly frosty. So, I harbor feelings for you. And you deem it permissible to trample my sincerity underfoot, to mock and despise me? On our wedding day, you exchanged the bridal sedan and rendered me a laughingstock throughout the capital. Nightlon's face finally bore a hint of regret. Had I known your reaction would be so vehement, I would not have. He lamented the loss of control in our confrontation, regretting his miscalculation of my resolve. Yet he never expressed remorse for the exchange of the bridal sedan. Hopeless. I coldly curled my lips, a sense of ennui flooding my heart. I misspoke. You are not akin to a dog, but rather a maggot in a cesspool. Foul and odious, yet deluded into believing he exudes a pleasant fragrance. I suddenly found it unbearable to remain in his proximity. Hastily, I rapped on the wooden railing, summoning the jailer. Would you kindly move young Master Nightlon further away? His stench has wafted over to me. Pfft. The female antagonist's tongue is sharp, haha. Truly remarkable, whether it be the male lead or the female antagonist. They are indeed awe-inspiring. I believe the female antagonist speaks wisely. The male lead is nothing short of scum. To secure his own happiness with the female lead, he has plunged the female antagonist into such dire circumstances, oblivious to the hardships faced by women in ancient times. He seeks to ruin her life. Reflecting now, were I in her position, I would be even more ruthless. Nightlon's face fluctuated between pallor and flush. The jailer's steps faltered. Both sides were individuals he could not afford to offend, leaving him at a loss. Sensing his dilemma, I smiled. Might I request a change of cell? The jailer breathed a sigh of relief. Of course. After you, then. The dungeons of the ancestral hall primarily housed incarcerated royal relatives and officials, presenting a far more favorable environment than the Sky Prison. As we traversed, I observed that many cells were clean and tidy, some even furnished with beds and silk blankets. The jailer explained in hushed tones as he guided me. These items were sent by their families. You arrived rather hastily. Once the Grand Commandant's household sends provisions, all will be well. We do have some items left by others, but they are used and unsuitable for your use. I nodded. No matter. After all, my stay would be brief. My mother would soon set her plans in motion. My mother's actions transpired sooner than I had anticipated. Shortly after my relocation, the jailer returned, accompanied by several palace guards to unlock the door. The Emperor wishes to see you. I was escorted to the imperial presence. Upon entering, the gaze of all present fell upon me, and there stood my mother at the forefront. A flicker of surprise crossed my features, swiftly masked. As I prepared to kneel in greeting, a figure clad in bright yellow could scarcely contain their eagerness. Is she truly where? My mother responded with reverence, Your Majesty. This is indeed my daughter, Si Qingwei. Qingwei, the Emperor repeated my name, savoring the sound, a name as radiant as the moon in its zenith. Splendid, splendid. He beckoned me forward with a warm smile. Where? Come closer for me to behold you. I felt somewhat disoriented and glanced at my mother. She nodded in encouragement, prompting me to step forward with a hint of trepidation. The old emperor has evidently already concluded that the female antagonist is his own daughter, it must be said. The tale spun by her mother is quite coherent. The emperor's tone softened. How old are you? In response to your majesty, I am 16 this year. The emperor nodded thoughtfully. At 16, splendid, splendid. His demeanor suddenly darkened. Si Qingwei, you have assaulted the heir of the Yongduke's household. Are you aware of your crime? I immediately knelt, responding with neither servility nor arrogance. I report to your majesty that the heir of Yongduke was treacherous first. I merely returned in kind, an eye for an eye, blood for blood. I am not guilty of any crime. He scoffed. By your reasoning, if everyone were mistreated, they should take matters into their own hands. What of the law of the land? Should the courts remain open? I bowed deeply, this I concede. Yet I hold no regrets. A palpable tension enveloped the atmosphere. I could not help but nervously bite my lip, yet my resolve remained unyielding. He scrutinized me, then suddenly issued a thunderous question. Would you be willing to acknowledge kinship with me by blood? My eyelashes fluttered, and in an instant I looked up, astonished. What? My reaction seemed to amuse him, as he erupted into hearty laughter, dispelling the heavy, oppressive atmosphere. A nearby eunuch jested. Miss C. So young yet so decisive, truly reminiscent of you. The emperor pointed at me, then at himself. With such a stubborn disposition, am I not like you? The eunuch, having served the emperor since childhood, felt emboldened by the emperor's good humor and continued. I recall the incident with Li Jinghe, when the late emperor questioned you. You were equally unyielding, causing much distress. My heart stirred. I had privately prepared thoroughly for the impersonation. I would not overlook the current emperor's temper, preferences, and various anecdotes. Li Jinghe, the heir of the Duke of Lu, had been brazen and arrogant due to his noble lineage. During a time when the late emperor had numerous sons but had yet to designate an heir, many princes tolerated Li Jinghe's transgressions to gain favor with the Duke's household, except for the current emperor, who had always treated him with disdain. Once, the emperor caught Li Jinghe publicly harassing a virtuous woman and executed him on the spot. The Duke of Lu reported this to the late emperor, and many assumed the emperor would lose his claim to the throne. Yet, the late emperor ultimately intervened, allowing the Duke of Lu to return home, resulting in the current emperor being named heir. This event had since become a source of pride for him. When I heard my father recount this tale, I had contemplated potential avenues for leverage. Now, it seemed the outcome was favorable. The emperor and the eunuch shared jests, and seizing the moment, I timidly interjected, Your Majesty. What did you mean by acknowledging kinship by blood? Look. The emperor chuckled again, pointing at my hands, which trembled slightly. He turned to those beside him. Observe this little one. When declared bold, she kneels like a quail, yet when deemed timid, she dares to interject. Laughter erupted among the assembly, and the atmosphere in the grand hall grew unusually joyous. After a prolonged silence, without an answer, I could not help but puff out my cheeks in frustration. The emperor leaned down, softening his tone. Are you upset? I maintained a respectful demeanor, though only the straightened corners of my lips betrayed my vexation. This subject does not dare to be angry. The emperor nodded knowingly. Teasing. Daring not to be angry does not equate to being incapable of anger. Very well, rise. We shall address any inquiries later. For now, let us attend to business. Zhang Quan, fetch the items. I stood perplexed. Soon, Zhang Quan approached, bearing a tray with a basin of clear water and a golden needle. Miss C, please use the golden needle to draw a drop of blood from your fingertip into the cup. I found myself momentarily at a loss, casting a pleading glance towards my mother. She offered gentle reassurance, it's all right, just heed what Lord Zhang says. I bit my lip, feeling somewhat relieved. Despite having envisioned this moment countless times in my mind, the reality of it nearly overwhelmed me with excitement. My gaze fixed upon the golden dragon-patterned cup. My resolve began to solidify. No longer hesitating, I seized the needle and plunged it decisively into my fingertip. A single drop of blood slid down to my nail and fell with a soft splatter. The faint sound of the droplet echoed like the shattering of an unbreakable thread of fate, resonating with a thunderous clarity. In that instant, A gust of wind swept in through the wide-open palace doors, carrying with it a whiff of iron tang that reached my nostrils. This was not merely blood from my fingertip, it was the essence of battlefields, the smoke of war, the journey of blood and fire. Beneath me my steed neighed, ready for the call to arms. I observed Lord Zhang as he presented the plate to the emperor, my expression nearly devoid of emotion. At this moment, the emperor himself seemed gripped by a mix of anxiety and anticipation. His fingertips trembled, hovering in the air for a moment before reaching out. As the blood droplets fell, his focus intensified upon the teacup, his demeanor bordering on reverence. The assembled courtiers held their breath, their eyes fixed on the cup. In that instant, the world seemed to freeze, with only the two droplets of blood slowly intertwining within the vessel. "They have merged! They have merged!" Zhang exclaimed, his voice brimming with childlike excitement. "Your Majesty, do you see? We have found the princess." The emperor's lips quivered, silent tears cascading down his cheeks. He nodded vigorously, his mouth moving without sound. "How wonderful! How wonderful! My princess has returned. My child has returned. I am no longer alone." It was as if fireworks exploded suddenly in the pitch-black sky, showering the heavens with brilliance. I'm so moved, I don't know why. But I'm actually shedding tears. Yes. Just now, I held my breath for the wicked female antagonist, praying for her, feeling joy for her. I am clearly a fan of the female lead, yet at this moment, I feel as though my heart is brimming with something, welcoming a grand celebration. I understand. I'm a fan of the male protagonist, but right now, my smile is stretching from ear to ear. I'm sorry, Elon. Let me cheer for the female antagonist for 3 minutes, then I'll return to fight alongside you. Because we are all small figures, ordinary and insignificant, struggling in the mire of the mundane, drifting with the tide. Yet here, we become mere spectators of fate, believing we comprehend the destinies of others. But when one individual breaks free, tears apart, and rewrites her own conclusion, it is hard for us, the mundane, not to feel pride and be moved to tears. What a wonderful sentiment. I may lack culture, I may be crass, but let me shout, Si Qingwei, you are incredible. From now on, I shall no longer call you the wicked female antagonist. You are Si Qingwei, my sister. Ha, those ruining the atmosphere should step aside. But I'll add, Si Qingwei, you are my goddess. I could no longer suppress the upward curve of my lips. I must admit, at this moment, they were utterly endearing, even more so than when they clumsily revealed the plot to me. The emperor, lost in his excitement, suddenly remembered me. He stumbled down from the throne, enveloping my shoulders in a warm embrace, his eyes brimming with hope. "Yeah, I am your father." Naturally, I would not let his expectations fall to the ground. However, being suddenly informed that a stranger had become my father left me in a state of hesitation. My face reflected a blend of surprise and confusion, a myriad of emotions playing across my features. I parted my lips, unable to resist turning to seek my mother. Much like a little duck discovering its mother is not following it across a river. Fear mingled with a hint of exhilaration, leaving me feeling utterly adrift. My mother continued to gaze at me with that gentle, encouraging look. Steadying my heart, I whispered, "Father." The emperor responded with a heavy sigh. Behind him, Lord Zhang wiped away tears, his excitement palpable. My emotions remained remarkably calm, overshadowed only by an impatience for the performance to continue. The emperor lingered too long in the next steps, and I was unwilling to prolong the moment. I glanced between the emperor and my mother. A hint of reproach in my gaze, my voice sharp. But what of my father? Like a small beast, my confidence wavered under the weight of facing my biological parents, which diminished my bravado. The emperor's expression darkened instantly, his knuckles rapping against my forehead. "What nonsense are you thinking, child?" I was taken aback. Is it not so? Only through their explanations did I grasp the entirety of the truth. 16 years prior, my mother, while visiting her family, had rescued a newborn girl from a dilapidated temple in Jiangnan, beside the body of a woman. In the chaos of that time, she took the gold locket from the woman's body as evidence. Later, after my mother's own daughter passed away, she, fearing her husband's sorrow, claimed the infant as her own. 16 years flew by, her husband advanced in rank, and they moved from Jiangnan to the capital, slowly uncovering the infant's origins. However, faced with the complexity of the child's lineage, She feared making a fatal mistake and had grown too attached to relinquish her. Had it not been for our imprisonment, she might have concealed the truth for much longer. Upon hearing this, my first instinct was to kneel and plead for the Emperor's mercy towards my mother. The Emperor kindly lifted me, saying, "She saved you and raised you so well. How could I possibly blame her?" "But," I asked weakly, "could you pardon my father?" The Emperor suddenly recalled my false father. A wave of bitterness washing over him, feeling as though the good daughter favored her false father more. After a brief moment, Lord Zhang led Si Fenian into the grand hall. Upon entering, Si Fenian did not raise his head but immediately knelt, striking the ground with his forehead. "I pay my respects to your majesty. Long live the emperor. I am guilty for leading my daughter into the Yoho residence without permission. I beseech your majesty to spare her. All blame lies with me. Please, take my official cap and release my daughter." Every word, every sentiment, was undeniably sincere. Under the clear gaze of his daughter, the emperor felt a strange awkwardness. She had suffered, while Si Fenian, this false father, risked his career and life to defend her, while he, her true father, had imprisoned her. This thought unsettled him. He rose from his throne and approached his minister, a warm smile gracing his face, though hints of guilt lingered beneath. Indeed, it was guilt. The emperor understood how much Si Fenian cherished his daughter to go so far as to mobilize troops on her behalf, subsequently bearing the consequences. And now, he had to deliver the painful truth. "My dear minister, the daughter you have raised for 16 years is not yours. She is mine, and you must return her." Wasn't he this bullying an honest man? "Zhang Quan, why have you not offered the esteemed minister a seat?" Every day, lacking in perceptiveness. Zhang Quan hurriedly rushed to bring a chair. "Sir Si, please sit." As he spoke, he slapped himself twice. "Blame the servant. I'm getting old, my mind is rusting." Si Fenian was utterly bewildered. After decades of service, he had never encountered such a scenario. This was the chief eunuch who grew up alongside the emperor. He shook his head in disbelief, repeatedly saying, "This cannot be, this cannot be. How can it not be?" The emperor personally pressed him into the chair. "You, a grand preceptor, a dignified first-rank official, a pillar of the nation, and one of my most trusted ministers, have diligently served in your office for decades. It is only right that Zhang Quan serves you tea and water." The emperor patted Si Fenian's shoulder, feigning reproach. "My dear minister, do not be so humble." Si Fenian appeared dazed. "Me?" In the next moment, a cup of tea appeared in his hand. The emperor, having personally handed him the tea, felt a sense of gratitude towards the benefactor who saved his daughter and contentedly returned to his throne. He sat down with a bold flourish, letting out a hearty laugh. "My dear minister, it has been a long time since you have seen your wife and daughter, and by chance, your esteemed wife and you are here. You may reminisce together." It hadn't been long, had it? Just a few hours since his imprisonment. Si Fenian felt bewildered yet somewhat relaxed. He instinctively glanced at me. Are you all right? Did you suffer any grievances while in prison?" I reassured him with a shake of my head. "Father, I am perfectly fine." As I spoke, I twirled in front of him. "See, not a single hem is torn." The emperor felt a tinge of jealousy and cleared his throat. "My dear minister, I must thank you for taking care of my daughter all these years." "What do you mean, your daughter?" "My daughter?" Si Fenian was utterly confused. Thus, the truth was recounted once more. Si Fenian, with a face full of bewilderment, held the teacup in a daze, glancing left at his wife and right at his daughter. Witnessing his state of distress stirred a flicker of guilt even in the iron-hearted emperor. Our father is indeed an old master of performance, so smooth and effortless. Truly worthy of being the grand preceptor. Being an official is never simple. One cannot reach such a position without a few tricks up their sleeve. Just look at our little you, so domineering, cunning, full of clever schemes. With a slight curve of her lips, calamity befalls others. It's evidently inherited from our father. And our mother is no less. Just now you all missed it. When fabricating our little you's background before the emperor, her expression remained unchanged, devoid of acting. Purely emotion. If she doesn't receive an Oscar, I shall not be in agreement. Haha, they are indeed a family of dramatists. How could they lose? Tell me how they could possibly lose. Having just acknowledged me as his daughter, the emperor's parental affection had nowhere to be placed. Wishing to keep me directly in the palace, showering me with gifts as compensation. However, Zhang Quan advised against announcing a grand decree to the world without proper preparations, and thus, the emperor reluctantly allowed me to return to the Grand Preceptor's residence. That night, Jiang Yu stepped through the gates of the Grand Preceptor's residence, illuminated by the moonlight. Master Jiang, the young lady is waiting for you inside. The shadow guard led him to a courtyard door, and then vanished without a trace. Jiang Yu paused for a moment before pushing the door open. Instantly, his vision expanded, revealing the exquisite scenery within the courtyard, intricately carved archways, a jade-white stone table, a purple-leaved peach tree, a flower-laden swing, and in the corner, a large blue and white porcelain vat, housing several red golden koi. Every corner exuded an air of elegance and affluence, unmistakably the abode of a refined young lady from a wealthy family. What surprised Jiang Yu further was the emptiness within the courtyard, save for the light flickering from the main house's window. Is she inside? Jiang Yu hesitated, thinking he ought not to enter a lady's chamber. While in his indecision, he heard a clear voice from above. Jiang Yu. The voice was like summer plums, sweet and tart. Jiang Yu looked up. The young lady sat on the eaves, swinging her legs, a wine jug in hand, the starlit sky casting a mesmerizing glow on her fair face. The evening breeze tousled her green robe, intertwining with her flowing hair. The bright moon danced joyfully, showering her with a delicate silver light. The young lady beamed with a radiant smile, her eyes crescent-shaped, innocent, and utterly captivating. Jiang Yu's fingers instinctively curled, as blood rushed to his heart at an alarming pace. Thump, thump, thump. The chaotic sound of his heartbeat resonated clearly in his ears, consuming his every thought. Jiang Yu. Again, a playful and naturally commanding voice called out, "Catch me." Without hesitation, the young lady leaped down, a flash of green descending gracefully. Jiang Yu instinctively rushed forward, arms outstretched, and caught her securely. So light, so soft. How could she be so soft? Jiang Yu's mind went blank. His broad hand gently enveloped her delicate back, while his other arm firmly encircled her slender waist. He stood there, utterly bewildered, unable to think clearly. Our little Yu is so charming, so alluring. Who could withstand this? Is this intentional? Why do I feel like the female supporting character is flirting with the second male lead? Be confident. Our little Yu is indeed flirting with the second male lead. Jiang Yu, draw your sword. The feud over the wife is a matter of life and death. You rascal, are you tired? Let me into act for a couple of scenes. Cradled in the man's strong embrace, my feet dangled in the air, and I could only wrap my arms around his neck. Put me down. Jiang Yu lowered his head, his inky black eyes fixed on me without blinking. I furrowed my brow and kicked his leg with my toes. Why are you dawdling? Put me down. Jiang Yu swallowed hard twice, as if suddenly coming to his senses, and gently set me down on the ground. He turned his back, concealing something. Miss C, what business do you have with me? A branch of peach blossom dangled before me, blooming splendidly. I raised my hand to pluck it, playing with it in my palm. Can't I seek you out if there's nothing to discuss? Jiang Yu averted his gaze, focusing on the intricate chessboard on the stone table, where a game was left unfinished, the pieces crafted from jade, each smooth and pure white, glistening under the moonlight. He clenched his fingers. The calluses on his fingertips pressed into his palm, and for the first time, he realized how rough his hands were, coarse enough that he feared leaving scratches on those pieces. Jiang Yu's lips moved slightly, forming a faint smile. Miss C, you are the daughter of the Grand Preceptor, while I am of lowly birth, uncouth since childhood. The words of esteemed individuals such as yourselves are beyond my comprehension, and I feel out of place. The second male lead sounds so pitiful. I know I am coarse and unworthy of your radiant moonlight. I recognize my inability to possess you, so it is better not to meet. Is that the implication? Oh, Jiang Yu, you are worthy. Of course, you are worthy. You are the second male lead, who rose in rebellion for the people and carved out half the kingdom in turbulent times. Yet he doesn't dare utter that he is unworthy, for he knows he is too far removed from her, hence he can only say he feels out of place. Born of love, Jiang Yu's fear is, in a way, a form of clarity. Jiang Yu, haven't you noticed that our little Yu is flirting with you? Don't feel inferior. Sister supporting character. Hurry and comfort him. He looks like he might shatter. Oh. I nodded and walked up to him, waving my hand. You should crouch down a bit. Jiang Yu took a deep breath. Miss C, Seeing his lack of cooperation, I stood on my tiptoes and tucked the peach blossom behind his ear. He widened his eyes in surprise. "Don't move," I warned him. I stepped back 2 paces to examine my handiwork, satisfied. Peach blossom suit a beauty. My taste is truly exquisite. The fragrance of the peach blossoms mingled with the refreshing scent of the person before me, creating a unique aroma, a sweet honey, a floral fragrance, and a lasting poetry etched into the soul. Jiang Yu could no longer perceive anything else. His gaze was solely fixed on me, as if he wished to imprint my image deep within his eyes. After a long moment, I stifled a yawn and murmured, "I am so sleepy." Jiang Yu's eyelashes fluttered, suddenly snapping back to reality, his voice low and hoarse. "Miss C, if there is nothing else, I shall take my leave." He hurriedly walked away. I watched him, calling out just as he was about to step out of the courtyard, "Jiang Yu." He came to a halt, unable to take another step. I approached him, placing my hand on his shoulder. In the trembling depths of his gaze, I pressed my lips against his. Time seemed to stretch indefinitely until I slowly withdrew, a thread of silver lingering between us. His eyes dimmed, and with great difficulty, he parted his lips to utter, "Why?" I blinked innocently, a mischievous smile gracing my lips. "Because your eyes tell me you wish to kiss me." Because your eyes convey that you desire a kiss," I obliged. "How sweet it is, darling." This is bound to leave the second male lead utterly dazed. "Jiang Yu, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and kiss her." I am beside myself with anticipation. Where has that rebellious, wild second male lead gone? The book never mentioned he would fall for someone in this manner. "Second male lead, can you handle this? If not, let me step in." The comments surged with excitement. I remained unfazed. Stepping back a couple of paces, I waved farewell to the man still lost in thought. "Jiang Yu, see you another day." I turned away, the smile on my face vanishing instantaneously. "Jiang Yu, having cast such a significant bait, I hope you do not disappoint me." Jiang Yu stood there for what felt like an eternity, suddenly aware of something trickling from the tip of his nose. He raised his hand to wipe it away. Under the moonlight, a streak of crimson stained his fingertips. His expression remained impassive as a suspicious flush crept up his ears. The following day, the Vermilion Bird Gate swung wide open. A procession, bearing the imperial decree, emerged from the gate, traversing the streets of the capital, passing by the Xuanwu, Qinglong, and Baihu, until they finally halted before the Grand Chancellor's residence to announce the edict. On this day, the entire capital learned that the Emperor had reclaimed the long-lost princess, who was none other than the daughter of the Grand Chancellor, Si Qingwei. "Your Highness, please." Zhang Quan, clutching his whisk, welcomed me back to the palace. I stood before the dragon carriage, casting a final glance at the grand estate. From this moment onward, it would no longer be my home, nor would I be Si Qingwei. I am Li Qingwei of the Li family from the Li Zhou dynasty. The moon shining brightly in the sky. As I stepped onto the staircase, my mother's reluctant voice called out from behind, where she hesitated, her eyes brimming with tears, conveying a multitude of emotions. My heart ached, and I couldn't suppress the moisture gathering in my eyes, my mother's words echoing in my ears. "Well, you have grown up. I know I cannot dissuade you. This path is your choice. If you have chosen it, then walk it boldly. Rest assured, your father and I will always stand behind you, watching over your journey until you reach a place beyond our sight." My father's voice, deep and resonant like an ancient bell, rang out as he knelt, proclaiming, "We humbly wish the princess long life, and eternal life." Long life to the princess. Where, you are treading a path strewn with thorns. Are you prepared? I am certain she is mentally prepared, regardless of how arduous the journey ahead may be. Whether it be high mountains or turbulent seas. Throw flowers. I declare that Si Qingwei, from this moment forth, shall no longer be confined to the wilderness. She shall venture to distant lands, to the skies, to the depths of the sea, to anywhere her heart desires. I am uncertain when the comments transformed into a harmonious chorus. They no longer spoke of the main characters, but expressed joy and concern for me. They seemed to have become true friends, solely mine. I hesitated no longer, stepping directly into the dragon carriage. "Farewell, Si Qingwei. And hello, Li Qingwei." As the dragon carriage glided forward, the crowd along the streets thickened as we approached the Vermilion Bird Gate. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through, lifting a corner of the curtain. I sensed a piercing gaze, glancing through the crowd, finally landing on a rue Eve. There stood a figure clad in moonlight, slender and graceful, like a willowy branch swaying in the breeze. A veil adorned her head, and her face was tightly wrapped in a silk scarf, concealing her features. It could only be the female lead. If Buying was here, then Jiangyu must be nearby as well. A smile crept into my eyes as I boldly lifted the curtain and flashed a grin in her direction. Jiangyu, I await you. The emperor greeted me, his regained daughter, with overwhelming enthusiasm. He commanded a venerable prince, aged well beyond 70, to personally oversee the grand ceremony, which involved worshipping the heavens and honoring our ancestors. Outside the Hall of Supreme Harmony, draped in ceremonial robes and a crown, I was led by the emperor step by step toward the high platform. Upon reaching the pinnacle, I turned to receive the homage of the officials. In that instant, I trembled all over. My blood surged through my veins, clamoring for power, a thirst for dominion. I felt destined to look down upon others. Upon returning to the palace, a throng of servants stood in orderly rows to welcome me. Leading them was an elderly matron clad in gray, her hair meticulously arranged, not a single strand out of place. Her face bore the marks of time, yet remnants of her youthful beauty could still be discerned. The comments erupted in astonishment. It's Ru Hua, the maid who once served the late Wang Marin. It is said that after Wang Marin's death, she declined the emperor's offer to release her from the palace to marry, choosing instead to remain as a matron. Indeed, she has guarded the splendid pavilion where Wang Marin once resided for a decade, waiting for that child to return, only to be met with disappointment. Yet, I silently added, what does it matter? The loyal bones lie buried in the green hills, while loyal souls wander in the depths of hell. My father served for decades, rising from a mere scholar to a close minister of the emperor, yet what reward did he reap? Seizure of property, execution, and abandonment to a mass grave. Thus, her loyalty is not to me. Why should I lament? I raised my lips, waiting for the servants to bow low before I gently called out. Ru Hua gazed at me with tear-filled eyes, nearly choking on her words. Your Highness, I have finally awaited your return, even if it means my death now. I would willingly accept. I hesitated. You are Ru Hua, my aunt? Ru Hua quickly wiped her tears away, nodding with excitement. Her gaze softened. If only the princess's mother could see how you have grown, she would be beyond delighted. I took her hand, affectionately, perfect, and, please tell me more about my mother. With the topic of Wang Marin, Ru Hua and I quickly became familiar, as if she had never been absent from my life for those 16 years. The night was tranquil, the moonlight shimmering like water. I sat before the bronze mirror, allowing Ru Hua to style my hair. A hint of nostalgia glimmered in her eyes. I once attended to the Empress's grooming. I replied affectionately, then tomorrow I will have you style my hair as well. Ru Hua chuckled, very well. Though I wonder if my skills have grown rusty. As she spoke, she suddenly paused. In the mirror, her gaze seemed to fixate on a certain spot. I narrowed my eyes, gently inquiring, and, what is it? Ru Hua lowered her head as if concealing something. It is nothing. I was merely pondering what hairstyle to prepare for the princess tomorrow. Is that so? I scrutinized her for a moment, and as her expression grew increasingly evasive, I suddenly laughed, and I am certain you will do splendidly. At that moment, a palace maid entered. Your Highness, the water is ready. Good. I smiled. It is quite late, Aunt, please rest. I will go bathe first. Ru Hua nodded hurriedly, then I shall take my leave. With that, she hurriedly exited. The smile on my face gradually faded as I glanced at the comments. This aunt seems peculiar. She won't discover anything, will she? Impossible. The supporting female character has been meticulous. Even the emperor believes her. What could she possibly know? I revisited the book, yet found nothing. This character merely serves as a tool for the female protagonist's recognition of kin, and she scarcely appears thereafter. Look at her eyes. They've transformed, undoubtedly indicating a problem. Alas. I am quite anxious. Such a minor role leaves us in the dark regarding her circumstances. Should she be discovered, it would be the wicked supporting characters just deserts, providing us, the female audience, with a sense of vindication, especially with the male lead still confined in the ancestral hall. To those who favor the main couple, I kindly urge you to focus your affections on them rather than disrupt the harmony here. Is it so intolerable to speak of the vile? I shall repeat. Wicked supporting character, wicked supporting character, wicked supporting character. You morally misguided individuals, how can you favor the supporting character who usurped the identity of the protagonist? Are you unwell? How can the male and female leads be so virtuous, while the supporting character deserves ruin? The barrage of comments erupted again, and finding no useful information, I withdrew my gaze and commanded, "You all may leave." I have never favored the presence of others while bathing. The palace maids exchanged glances, hesitant to defy me. They bowed and exited the grand hall in an orderly fashion. The previously chaotic comments resumed their fervent adoration. Oh no, the supporting character is about to bathe. I wish I could send my gaze over. Curse those privacy regulations. Why must they be so strict? I want to see the fresh, fragrant, soft light moon baby after her bath. I loathe the 404, I loathe the great river crab. As I shed my robes and slowly submerged into the water, the mist enveloped me, eliciting a sigh of contentment. Suddenly, the window creaked. Two faint, brief sounds. Were it not for the silence within the hall, I would not have noticed. That was quick. A smile graced my lips. Without needing to glance at the comments, I already knew who had arrived. As footsteps approached, I leisurely rose to my feet, the shimmering light catching the gaze of the intruder. I immediately exclaimed, "Who dares intrude?" Swiftly, I snatched a thin garment to drape over myself, though it left much of my shoulder exposed. Jiang Yu hurriedly turned his back, his voice low and hoarse. "Miss C. It's me. I was unaware you were bathing. I apologize for the intrusion." "Jiang Yu," I exclaimed, my expression flustered, tightening my grip on the garment as I chided. "What did you just see?" His ears flushed crimson, and he stood frozen, refusing to turn back, merely denying I saw nothing. "Is that so?" I retorted, my tone laden with significance as I stepped out of the tub, the water splashing around me. Jiang Yu's ears twitched, and his honey-toned skin flushed a deeper shade. How amusing this was. "Jiang Yu," I smiled brightly, my voice playful, "would you care to take a look?" Jiang Yu, initially anxious and fumbling for words of explanation, found his mind blank at my question. I tightened my clothing and, barefoot, approached him, poking at his taut back. "Speak. You still haven't told me if you want to see." Jiang Yu abruptly turned around, a mix of embarrassment and confusion on his face. "Miss C. I have urgent matters to discuss with you." My delicate, pale feet were suddenly exposed before him. He reacted as if scalded, quickly turning away, mumbling, "I implore you, Miss C, to put on your shoes and socks. Take care not to catch a chill." I looked down, feigning surprise. Oh dear, I forgot. My bare feet pitifully stacked together. Jiang Yu shivered and urged, "Then hurry and put them on." I hesitated, glancing at the cold stone floor beneath the water room. So cold." Jiang Yu muttered an expletive in frustration, and without warning, he lifted me, striding into the chamber. He tossed me onto the bed with a fierce demeanor. "Si Qingwei, I've been avoiding you, yet you insist on provoking me. What is happening? It's so thrilling right from the start. Wait, wasn't Qingwei bathing just now? Why is the second male lead here? Wow, the second male lead has really stepped up. There's no way he could be the simpleton who allows himself to be toyed with." I could hardly pay attention to the comments any longer. I sat dazed on the bed, the man's fierce and sharp features looming close. "What are you doing? If you dare touch me," I hiss. My warning was cut short as I felt a sharp bite on my shoulder, a mix of pain and irritation. "Jiang Yu." I angrily slapped him across the face. His expression remained unchanged, yet my palms stung red. I glared up at him, only to be met by his dangerously predatory gaze. His face was cold, his chest heaving with suppressed anger, radiating a wild aura. I subtly shifted away, inching back, celebrating in my heart as I neared the edge of his reach. In the next moment, a hot, large hand gripped my nape, exerting just enough pressure to pull me back. His eyes narrowed, a chilling smile gracing his lips. "Are you afraid now?" I was momentarily stunned, my eyes welling with tears as I choked out my complaint. "Jiang Yu, you're finished. You've bullied me again." You will throw my entire family into prison." Jiang Yu released me, lazily finishing my sentence. "That's not it," I replied, my cheeks puffed in indignation. "I will have my father behead you." Jiang Yu raised an eyebrow, a meaningful expression crossing his face. "Is he truly your father?" My hand, wiping away tears, faltered as I looked up at him. "What do you mean?" "It means nothing," he replied, brushing his fingers against my ear. "Buying has a red mole here." His tone turned fierce. "I don't know if this will be of any use to you, but I thought you should know." With that, he turned to leave. "Stop." I called after him. "What else do you know?" He returned with a menacing stride, his demeanor brimming with tension. Do you know that Bying has adoptive parents? Do you know who they are? Do you know why my father insists I marry her? My eyes flickered, affirming certain suspicions in my heart. Wait, am I reading a fake novel? The protagonist has adoptive parents? Yes, it was mentioned in the original work. Her adoptive father sold her to the Itsue Tower when she was 3. Could her adoptive parents have another identity? Didn't he, the second male lead's father, insist he marry the protagonist because a fortune teller said she would bring him luck? The implications are chilling. It seems the world has automatically filled in the narrative gaps, as some plotlines in the novel certainly do not withstand scrutiny. Jiang Yu paused before continuing. I don't know how you assumed her identity, but I assure you, I'm not the only one aware of Bai Ying's true identity. Your current situation is perilous. I knelt, tugging on his garment, gazing up at him imploringly. Then please help me. He regarded me for a moment, then roughly adjusted my slipping collar. Are you trying to play this game again? Embarrassed, I straightened my robe. Do you believe I did it on purpose? Humph. Jiang Yu scoffed, his eyes clearly expressing disbelief. I pouted. I truly did not mean it this time. Jiang Yu raised an eyebrow. Does that mean you did it intentionally before? My frustration bubbled over. Yet I forced it down. Jiang Yu, you will help me, won't you? Though phrased as a question, my tone was certain. For reasons unknown. I felt an unwavering conviction within me. Standing tall, I climbed onto his shoulder, looking down at him. His eyes were an abyss of darkness, revealing not a flicker of emotion. Si Qingwei, I pondered for a long time at the beginning, contemplating how a mere commoner like myself, possessing only a modicum of martial skills and a modest sum of silver, could ever hope to earn your favor. He lowered his head, a self-deprecating smile gracing his lips. The bright moon in the sky illuminates the precious jade, causing it to radiate brilliance. Yet, when it shines upon a mere stone by the roadside, it merely casts a shadow. My lips parted, hesitating to speak. Jiang Yu. Jiang Yu lifted his hand, gently pulling down my arm. He stepped back 2 paces, standing with unwavering resolve. I will handle matters concerning Bai Ying and her foster parents. Do not seek me out again. We are simply not from the same world. Take care of yourself. With those words, he turned and departed without a trace of hesitation. A chorus of lamentation erupted in the comments. He compared Qingwei to the moon above and himself to a mere stone by the roadside. Oh my, how heart-wrenching. Is this the end for the couple I ship? Sister, please, call him back. Let us salvage this. I gazed at his retreating figure, compelled by the multitude of pleas, and called out to him. Jiang Yu, could you do me one more favor? Jiang Yu paused. What is it? The comments had already learned to respond automatically. Help us keep him here. Help us make him like me. Help us have a nap together. Pfft. You over there, don't ruin the atmosphere. I stated, help me kill someone. Jiang Yu turned back, enunciating a name through gritted teeth. Si Qing Yu. I tilted my head slightly. You can enter the palace. Surely, it would be easy for you to eliminate someone. Little rebel. Did the female supporting character just say that? Did she really say it out loud? Be careful. The second male lead might silence her. Not likely. The second male lead has been reduced to a humble little dog by the female supporting character. How could he bear to harm her? Jiang Yu's expression darkened. Who is she? Ru Hua, a maid by the side of the royal beauty. When the royal beauty initiated her plan, she was the only one present. I suspect she has discovered my identity. She exhibited peculiar behavior while preparing me at night. And it wasn't until you informed me about Bai Ying's birthmark that I realized the truth. What if, before she led the pursuers away, the royal beauty had already given birth, or was halfway through her pregnancy? I relayed her whereabouts and, feeling uneasy, added, be discreet. It would be best if she were to meet her end in peace, having fulfilled her desires with the return of her master's child, passing away peacefully in her sleep. Or perhaps succumbing to poison, following her master into the afterlife. Jiang Yu dismissed me with a curt, I need no instruction, before vanishing from sight. Impressive. The female supporting character is heartless. Indeed, she possesses no emotional ties, her eyes only reflecting a desire for power. It is wise for the second male lead to keep his distance from her. The spacious chamber fell once more into silence. I stood in silent contemplation for an extended period. For reasons unknown, my heart tightened. This road is still long, with many challenges awaiting me. Jiang Yu. Those fleeting seconds of my affection for you have already felt interminable. Farewell. And I am sorry. I cannot let you go before your value has been fully exhausted. I had anticipated awakening to the news of Ru Hua's demise. To my surprise, when I inquired, the maid hesitated, stammering her response. She informed me that Ru Hua had left the palace early that morning to visit family. My fingertips turned pale from clenching, though my face remained inscrutable as I queried, "Is that so? But Aunt promised to style my hair. Did she not style her own? Her parents have passed. Where could she possibly have relatives? Tell me, are you concealing something from me?" The maid displayed evident distress. "Princess, Aunt Ru Hua really did leave the palace. As for which relative she visited, I cannot say." I darkened my expression and strode towards the exit. "I am going to her quarters." The maid, startled, hurriedly followed me. "Princess, our rooms are untidy and humble. They might dirty your feet." I ignored her, proceeding forward until a voice halted me. Where are you rushing off to in such a hurry?" I turned back, revealing a joyful smile. "Father, what brings you here?" The emperor, clad in bright yellow attire and wielding a folding fan, had beads of sweat glistening on his forehead. He approached, maintaining a composed demeanor, though a flicker of concern lingered in his eyes. "I came to invite you for a meal." "Wonderful," I replied softly. In the next moment, I touched the hair cascading down my chest, but I must first find Aunt Ru Hua to style my hair. The emperor's gaze flickered, and he replied with a smile, "Let a maid assist you. I have permitted Ru Hua to leave the palace." "Where Ru Hua is loyal. She has long been of an age to depart the palace. She has waited all these years for your return, and now that you are back, it is her time to enjoy her twilight years, so I have allowed her to leave." I was persuaded, feeling somewhat forlorn as I said, "Oh, I see. She did not even bid me farewell. Isn't Ru Hua the one who was harmed by the second male lead? Why keep this from the female supporting character? Perhaps it is the emperor's affectionate intentions. He treats the female supporting character as a little child, fearing she might be hurt. The female supporting character was just nervous. Don't worry, the second male lead is still quite reliable." What a splendid show we witnessed early this morning. "Welcome to the acting awards. Who do you think performed better, the emperor or our Qingwei?" The emperor, unconcerned with the usual dining etiquette, suddenly spoke while we dined. "What are your plans regarding that young man from the Yi family?" My hand paused mid-action, swiftly calculating the implications of his question. In truth, given the emperor's handling of the situation, it was evident he was offering no assistance. While the young marquis's household suffered a casualty and an injury, my father and I had merely been confined to the ancestral hall. Let us not forget, my father was imprisoned, while the old Marquis of Yang remained free. It would be quite easy for him to deal with a criminal held in custody, had it not been for my familial recognition. Even if my father and I were to spend only a few days in the ancestral hall, we would likely have faced considerable hardship. At this moment, it was his daughter suffering grievances. I wondered what his attitude would be. I formulated a plan in my mind and replied, though disingenuously, "Father has already punished them. Let us consider the matter settled." The emperor chuckled. "Is that truly the case?" I nodded in a feigned state of distress, responding yes. The emperor burst into hearty laughter. "It cannot be settled. My daughter cannot suffer in silence." My eyes brightened, and I seized the opportunity. "Then let father take charge." The emperor softened his expression. "Should I not take charge?" "As the emperor, if my princess suffers injustice and cannot seek redress, then I shall relinquish my throne." He huffed lightly. "That old wretch from Yang has been quite obedient, kneeling at the palace gates to apologize early this morning." He pondered for a moment. "Shall I permit him to retire to his hometown?" Retire to his hometown? Compared to the fate awaiting my family in the storyline, what does this even mean? I internally scoffed, concealing it from my face, and replied dutifully, "As you see fit, father." The emperor nodded and inquired, "As for that young man from the Yi family, do you still harbor feelings for him? If not, let him remain in prison a while longer. You may vent your frustration. Just ensure he does not meet his end. If you still hold affection for him, given the current situation, it would be unwise for you to marry him, however. Having a male companion on the side is still permissible." I hurriedly shook my head in refusal. A male companion is unnecessary. I only seek to vent my frustrations. With the emperor's decree in hand, I led my entourage directly towards the ancestral hall. It is not that I possess any particular interest in tormenting Elon. After I rudely and bluntly altered the plot, the barrage of comments has become increasingly insignificant to me. With the unexpected emergence of Ruhua, I have come to realize that the barrage is not infallible. Although they appear to tower above, surveying everything, it is the minutiae that often elude their gaze. And within these subtle details may lie a potentially fatal strike. I must take a step back, thoroughly examine and fill in the gaps, preemptively eliminating all conceivable dangers. Yilan, the male protagonist of this world, who harbors a deep-seated hatred for me, may one day trip me up. Thus, I must first deal with him. Upon encountering him, I found him lying in a pile of straw, clad in a grimy prison uniform. It seemed that the wounds on his body had merely been hastily treated, and the privileges that should have been afforded to him as a member of the Zonran mansion were utterly absent. Upon seeing me, his gaze was rife with complexity. What do you want? Are you here to seek revenge? I fixed him with a steady gaze and smiled. Is it not obvious? Leaning closer, I whispered, surely, young Master Yi does not believe I would resort to forceful coercion against you? A blush crept across Yilan's face as he turned his head away, awkwardly admitting, I concede that you have won. See, Qingwei, let us reconcile. In the days to come, I shall endeavor to love you as best I can. The more I listened, the more absurd it seemed, prompting a mix of amusement and anger. Have you lost your mind? Or has your imprisonment dulled your wits? A flicker of anger crossed Yilan's face before he forcibly suppressed it. Taking a deep breath, he spoke as calmly as he could. I know you are still angry. You can scold or hit me, but please spare my father. The Yoho Mansion is a legacy passed down through generations. It is my father's lifetime honor. And this title must not be lost while he is still alive. The mask slipped. I coldly replied, the words I exchanged with Father Emperor this morning have yet to be issued as an edict, yet you, a prisoner confined in a cell, are already aware within the hour? The Yoho Mansion is truly deserving of punishment. Yilan's pupils constricted, and the calmness around him shattered. What did you say? How is that possible? It cannot be. He abruptly turned towards the jailer outside, his eyes blazing with fury. You. Tell me, who is it that is framing me? Tell me. I lazily stifled a yawn. Young Master Yi, cease your theatrics. Go back, this is tiresome. I stepped out of the cell and instructed the jailer. Lock the door securely, he must not escape. The jailer responded obediently. The female lead's methods are indeed straightforward and crude. First, she has someone leak her conversation with the Emperor to the jailer, who then relays it to the male protagonist. This allows her to claim that the Yoho Mansion has planted spies around the Emperor, prompting the Emperor to impose the death penalty upon them. But such a coarse tactic, can the Emperor not see through it? The Emperor, of course, is not blind to it. He calmly issued an edict, condemning the Yoho Mansion to annihilation. I just finished reading the novel and came to watch the drama. Is the male protagonist really going to meet his end like this? Is this plot for real? To the one upstairs, it's merely a habitual occurrence. It's just the basic operations of Qingwei. She has always been swift and decisive. The male protagonist has already managed to survive a couple more days after her ascension to princess, which is a testament to the aura of the male lead at work. On the day of execution, I entered the imperial study. He glanced at the book in his hands and remarked, you are far too impatient. The greatest taboo for those in power is haste and excess. Did I not say that you need not resort to killing? Why must it come to this? My gaze was resolute, but as a daughter, I cannot bear to wait any longer. He lifted his head, pointing at me with the book in hand. You and your temper. I approached timidly, wrapping my arms around his arm. Father, thank you. He uttered a non-committal sound. There will be no next time. My heart jolted, but I quickly regained my smile. You're the best, father. The complete annihilation of the Yoho Mansion, of course, did not come without consequences. The noble families retaliated with remarkable swiftness and ferocity. The palace maid Chun-Lu rushed in. Breathless, Princess, Master Zheng sent word that the Emperor is in a rage within the imperial study, even skipping lunch. He asks that you go and persuade him. Upon hearing this, I rose and made my way outside, inquiring as I walked, what happened? Chun-Lu followed closely, whispering the details. It is said that during today's morning court, the noble families united to petition for the crown prince to be established as the heir apparent. My gaze sharpened instantly. The crown prince, I had heard of him, renowned for his poetic talents and gentle demeanor, to the point of being perceived as weak and easily manipulated. Historically, the court had always been in a hurry for the emperor to name a successor, for they were pure loyalists. As the emperor aged day by day, they hoped he would confirm an heir to ensure a smooth transition of the throne. The noble families, however, were different. Most of them rested on the laurels of their ancestors' achievements, their titles hereditary. For them, whether or not the emperor established a crown prince did not affect their titles. It was the thought of being embroiled in a succession struggle that was truly a foolish move. I understood their motives for petitioning for a crown prince at this moment. The downfall of the Yoho mansion had doused cold water over the noble families. They realized how terrifying it was to witness this emperor, who usually preferred to hide in his palace, wielding a blade. Thus, they were eager to select a gentle master for themselves, signaling to the emperor, "See, if you lay your hands on us, we will choose a soft-hearted lord for ourselves." The law does not punish the many. Public sentiment is a powerful force. No matter how furious the emperor may be, he could only sulk in his study. Just as I reached the entrance, Zheng Quan approached me. "Princess, you have finally arrived. Please, go in and persuade him. The emperor has not eaten all day. He even sent us all away, isolating himself inside." I reassured him, "Do not worry. I will see what I can do." The imperial study was quiet. As I pushed the door open, the emperor's agitated voice echoed within. "Get out. Did I not say for you all to stay away?" Through the embroidered screen, I called out, "Father, it is I." The room fell silent for a moment. And after a while, his voice, filled with weariness, emerged. "Once I had no children, and they all urged me to adopt a son. They claimed that this empire needed an heir, a crown prince." His pace of speech quickened, his voice crescendoing. "But did they ever consider that I have occupied this throne for a full 36 years? My health is robust. I am not old." Throughout history, which emperor has been pressured by his ministers to establish a crown prince while still in their prime? For 16 years, they have pressed me. When I had no children, they urged me. Now that I have found my own child, they still insist. He erupted into laughter. "Ha ha ha. What a fine bunch of ministers concerned for the state. I understand. Truly, even I, with my trifling possessions, wish to have a child to inherit, lest the legacy fall to others. And who more so than an emperor? With a throne that needs to be passed down? It seems that no matter where one goes, without a son, even an emperor will be looked down upon." In the original story, the empire was nearly squandered by the emperor. I suspect he thought, since I have no children, why should I toil over governing the realm? I might as well indulge myself. Indeed, had it not been for the eventual recognition with the female lead, and the male lead's timely intervention, he would have long since been reduced to a mere vagrant. To be honest, the author truly favors the second male lead, even at the conclusion. The male protagonist has yet to consolidate the empire, while the second male lead engages him in a vibrant contest. The author seems to have deliberately crafted the character of the female protagonist to shine, casting the second male lead in an impressive light. Whenever the male lead finds himself in a state of despair, the female protagonist seeks the second male lead's intercession. Accompanied by laughter, the sound of shattering cups followed. Startled, I quickly rounded the screen. The ground was in disarray. "Father." I carefully avoided the shards of porcelain and the puddles of water, kneeling at the emperor's feet. "Father, anger harms your health. I implore you to take care of yourself." The emperor let out a bitter laugh. "Indeed, I have grown old." I immediately shook my head. "Father, you are not old. You still need to accompany your daughter for many years to come." The emperor sighed, affectionately stroking my hair. "Resisting age is futile. Well, your father will select a benevolent crown prince, and after I am gone, he shall care for you." I bit my lip. "But father, can you truly guarantee that the crown prince you choose will treat me kindly? Father, would you willingly hand over the throne to another's child?" I paused, my gaze resolute. "Father, I wish to become the crown prince." The female antagonist is quite brave. Let me reiterate, Si Qingwei, you are my idol. The emperor will surely be moved, for his own bloodline acts decisively, reminiscent of his younger self. Wait, are you serious? Are you believing the lies being told? The female antagonist is merely impersonating. I raised my eyes, meeting the emperor's intrigued gaze. "I will study diligently. In the future, I shall not marry, but bear a child, and my child shall only bear the surnamely. Father, will you help me?" He rubbed the ring on his thumb, indecisive. Let me think. I knew the emperor would agree. Indeed, within a single night, he made his decision. However, throughout history, there has never been a female emperor. All men, in every era, have unanimously excluded women from power. The throne of the Great Zhou Empire has been coveted by the royal family for 16 years. They would not permit a woman to ascend, even if I possessed the most illustrious lineage. Thus, the greatest obstacle was not the emperor, but society itself. To achieve this goal, I must first disrupt the current situation or, in other words, incite more individuals to vie for this advantage. On the 8th day of the 5th month, the emperor summoned all officials of the 3rd rank and above, as well as noble youths of suitable age, to the palace for a 6-month period of scholarly examination and instruction, intending to select a suitor for his only princess. Such a grand initiative left the court in confusion. Even if the emperor cherished his daughter deeply, selecting a suitor did not necessitate such an elaborate affair. It resembled more of a search for a champion than a suitor. Soon, news leaked from the palace like molten lava meeting the ocean, igniting a fervor throughout the realm. The emperor's recruitment of suitors was said to be aimed at passing the throne to the son of the princess. In other words, should any of their offspring be chosen as the prince consort, the throne of the Great Zhou could very well fall into their hands. Although the child would bear the surname Li, once he grows, would he not be close to his father? Furthermore, there exists the ancient belief of restoring the lineage. Who can say what the future holds? As for the royal family's objections, they need not fear. The emperor's family matters are not for distant relatives to meddle in. Even those noble families who previously united to elevate the crown prince to the throne began to confront the royal family. How could that be? Noble families have long histories. Which of them does not possess well-cultivated young talents, superior to you pampered royal offspring? Those eligible yet lacking worthy sons did not despair, for just because they lacked, does not mean their relatives did. With this single move, the power dynamics within the court swiftly fragmented into numerous factions. Within the same faction, families with suitable young men harbored hidden agendas, secretly wary of one another. It mattered not if one's son was less exceptional than others. What if, by chance, the princess's affections fell upon one's own wayward child? In no time, there were no officials opposing the emperor. After ruling the Great Zhou for decades, the emperor, for the first time, savored the taste of unimpeded governance, a wave of satisfaction washing over him. Yet, he secretly lamented that this satisfaction came at the cost of the throne beneath him. This fortified his resolve to pass the throne to me, otherwise, given the countenance of these individuals, whether the throne would remain Li or adopt another surname was uncertain. He grasped my hand firmly. Where? Your father will find you a man. Once you are with child, he shall be eliminated. And so it shall be, heirs may be born. But the father must not remain, nor let the child know of his identity. Do you understand? He then negated his own words. No, no, no. I shall prepare several for you. This way, you shall remain oblivious to which man fathered your child, and in the end, they all can be dispatched. I fell silent. My face flushed, lowering my head. Father, there is no rush. Let us first finish the matter of selecting a prince consort. Upon mentioning this, the emperor's demeanor turned solemn. You claim to have a plan. I await to see your methods. The old emperor is quite fashionable. How many will he burden our dear wearer with? Speaking of which, what exactly does Qingwei intend to do? This round of court officials seems risky. Why ponder so much? The female antagonist has her own agenda. We shall simply await the unfolding events. I have a suspicion. Don't keep us guessing. Speak up. Have we forgotten about the second male lead? Surely he will assist Qingwei. I suspect Qingwei will merely utilize him, dismissing him as the father of her child. The barrage of comments was not mistaken. Indeed, I meant to leverage him, Jiang Yu. It had been a long time since we last met. He should make his appearance soon. Jiang Yu was far more composed than I had anticipated. I remained unhurried. Every angler knows that fishing requires the utmost patience. Once the bait is set, the only thing left to do is wait. If the fish do not bite, it could only mean one of two things. Either this water is devoid of fish, or there is insufficient bait. I was well aware that the fish were present. The emperor's suitor selection had stirred up a considerable uproar, spreading throughout the capital in less than half a month. Those young nobles and promising talents had all entered the palace. The palace now resembled a grand stage, drawing everyone's attention. Once a performance commenced, whatever transpired would soon become common knowledge. Tea houses and bookstores in the capital were filled daily with gossip about the princess's selection of a suitor. Whispers circulated about the princess strolling through the imperial garden with the young master of the Zhang family in the morning, conversing over tea with the Zhaos at noon, and enjoying the moonlight while encountering the heirs of the Huang and Sun families in the evening, with intricate details seemingly overheard from beneath my very table. Wonderful. The storyteller reached a thrilling point, eliciting cheers from the audience. It was truly a lively scene. Absurd. Morning, noon, and night. Our dear princess must be exceedingly busy. I suspect the Zhang family orchestrated that, while the Zhao family's young master was likely set up by the Wang family to incite jealousy, and the moonlit encounter was likely a ploy by Qingwei to lure the second male lead. I've gained insight. It seems the ancients also employed public opinion warfare. Is that surprising? The ancients were not foolish. Literati had long used their pens to slander others. Consider the tales of Emperor Wu of Han, even now. He is referred to as Lu Wildboar. Inside the carriage, Chen Lu huffed, "These people are truly audacious, daring to fabricate tales about the royal family." Princess, why not issue an edict to prohibit such slander? I smiled quietly without uttering a word. The carriage moved slowly, and the lively sounds from behind gradually faded into the distance. Before long, the carriage came to a halt at its destination, the Grand Commandant's residence. The coachman hurried to the firmly shut gate, grasped the brass ring, and knocked several times. Soon, a doorman opened a narrow slit, peering out. The coachman whispered something, gesturing towards the carriage. The doorman's eyes widened in surprise, a joyful expression spreading across his face. He turned and called out, enlisting the help of another servant to open the grand entrance. The commandant's residence seemed to awaken, with servants bustling about, some polishing the stone lions at the entrance, others laying out red silk on the ground, while some were sweeping and wiping the doors, all working with an air of meticulous order. Such a grand display captured the attention of passers-by on the street. In a short while, all preparations were completed. Only then did I take the hand of my maid and descend from the carriage. My mother, accompanied by my elder brother, knelt down, and I rushed forward to support her. There is no need for such formalities among family. My mother insisted on kneeling and performing a grand gesture of respect before she rose, linking arms with me as we entered the gate. Behind us, the servants hastily hung 2 strings of firecrackers and lit them. The loud crackling echoed, announcing to the entire street that the princess had returned to the commandant's residence for a visit. Once inside the hall, after dismissing the attendants, my mother, tears glistening in her eyes, embraced me tightly. She examined me closely. You've lost weight and appear worn. My brother frowned slightly and quickly interjected, Mother is jesting. Indeed, the palace has treated the princess well. She looks even more radiant than before. My mother wiped her tears. Yes, I am simply overwhelmed with joy. By the way, I have sent someone to fetch your father back. Eldest brother, please go to the front and let him know when he arrives. Yes, mother. My brother turned and exited. My mother grasped my hand. What is the reason for your grand return this time? I smiled but did not reply. Thank you, mother, for accommodating your daughter today. She sighed, choosing not to press further, and instead spoke of other matters. Not long ago, your father requested a favor, allowing your second and third brothers to be assigned outside. I rose and performed a respectful bow, apologizing. It is the daughter who has caused you trouble. She helped me up, reproaching gently, we are family. Do not speak of trouble. After sharing some information in hushed tones with my mother, I stepped outside. Just as I reached the corner, a hand grasped my arm and pulled me into the shadow of the wall. Upon recognizing the figure, I breathed a sigh of relief. Eldest brother, what are you doing? He furrowed his brow, his expression complicated as he looked at me. What is truly happening between you and our parents? I maintained my composure. What does eldest brother wish to know? He took a deep breath. Second brother and third brother may be unaware, but I am not. I was there when you were born. Do you not realize that the emperor nearly summoned us all to the palace? Realizing his voice had risen too high, he glanced around and lowered his tone. Do you all understand that this is a grave crime that could lead to the annihilation of our entire family? I stared at him steadily, smiling. Brother, there is no turning back. We must either win or perish. That night, I sat on the eaves gazing at the moon. Suddenly, the tiles creaked beneath me. I did not turn. If you don't come soon, I shall return. Jiang Yu's deep, suppressed voice resonated. Did you know I would come? I did not. I tilted my head to look at him, my eyes filled with tenderness. But it matters not. If you do not arrive today, I shall wait until tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, then the day after. Jiang Yu swallowed hard, abruptly turning his head away. Si Qingwei. What do I have left for you to exploit? I smiled, yet you still came. Jiang Yu's expression turned icy. You returned to the commandant's residence with such fanfare, causing a stir throughout the city. Are you not afraid of the royal family taking action against you? I beamed, gently tugging at his sleeve as I drew closer. Jiang Yu, with such concern for me, why not consider yourself as the father of my child? Jiang Yu froze, then awkwardly averted his gaze. His eyes glistened with a hint of red. Si Qingwei, tell me directly what you want. Do not play these games. Though he spoke thus, beads of sweat began to form on his forehead, trickling down his sharply defined cheeks and into his color. Such a large figure. His long legs curled beneath him on the eaves, his body rigid and unmoving, appeared quite pitiable. After a few moments of silence, I spoke softly. Last time you said that the bright moon shines upon the stubborn stones by the roadside, and the stones cast but a shadow. But Jiang Yu, what if the moon only wishes to illuminate the stubborn stones? Jiang Yu's long lashes fluttered slightly as he gazed at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. I told you not to provoke me. I am not swayed by such things. I lifted the corners of my mouth. Extend your hand. His rational mind screamed, do not listen, yet his body instinctively moved. I reached out towards the moon above, grasped nothingness, and then placed it into his palm. See, I have plucked the moon for you. He stared at his hand in a daze, then suddenly closed it tightly. He looked up, his dark eyes sparkling like stars. Si Qingwei, I will not let go. Once it is in my grasp, I shall hold on. It felt like both a promise and a warning. Woohoo, my Jiang Yu couple is complete. The female supporting character is truly adept. The second male lead must be utterly captivated. Next, let us cheer for our heroine as she braves all obstacles. Haha, she has already braved them, dear. The second male lead previously eliminated the main character for her. This world is truly chaotic. I chuckled softly, rewarding him by leaping into his embrace. How obedient. Jiang Yu. Inside the bright moon palace, all the candles had been extinguished, leaving only the faint moonlight streaming through the shell window. In the dimness, one could discern the entwined figures on the ornate phoenix bed. In the darkness, Jiang Yu's eyes gleamed remarkably, his heavy breaths moist and labored. His chest heaved rapidly, his voice hoarse. This cannot be. I straddled his waist, leaning down to kiss his rolling Adam's apple. What cannot be? Are you the one unable? Jiang Yu's eyes instantly turned crimson, struggling, yet his body stubbornly leaned into me. Like a force of nature, the moonlight slowly sank, a sliver of dawn breaking through. He finally halted. I was utterly soft, leaning helplessly against him. I see the excitement. Given you as appearance. The second male lead surely did not charge forward for half the night, right? Be bold. I wager it will last all night. Damn that 404. What is it that my esteemed VIP membership cannot access? I want to replay. I want to see the mosaic. I will also join everyone in flooding the comments to ensure the official notices. The comments rolled rapidly, and I was utterly unable to capture them. Jiang Yu affectionately kissed my damp forehead, his gaze resolute. I must leave. Wait for my return. I caressed the pulsating veins on his neck. 5 months. In 5 months, it will be the time I choose my husband. You must hurry. Jiang Yu's arms tightened abruptly. Just before he departed, I called out to him, casually uttering a cruel remark. I sent someone to fetch your parents from the Jiang residence last night. They should have arrived at my villa by now. Jiang Yu froze, disbelief flashing in his eyes as he turned back. I gazed at him with a bright smile. Do not worry, I will take good care of your uncle and aunt. Jiang Yu, you will understand, will you not? The supporting character has no heart. I have grown weary of saying this. Wow, how thrilling. This is how an emperor should behave. Oh, I thought that you at least had a faint affection for the second male lead. The female antagonist is excessively suspicious. Does she truly not believe in the second male lead's feelings for her? I averted my gaze, conjuring a faint, aloof smile. How could a child nurtured in the embrace of love not believe in its existence? Yet, when power and love are juxtaposed upon the scales of fate, I invariably choose power. Whether one deems it a projection of my own desires or a reflection of a petty heart matters not. I trust Jiang Yu. Yet I shall not spurn the added assurance that comes with power. On June 23rd, The White Turban Army, which had entrenched itself in the mountainous regions of Jianzhou, surged forth once more. Utilizing Jianzhou as their stronghold, they swiftly advanced into Jiangnan, seizing vast swathes of territory. The leader at the forefront was a young man, yet to see his 30th year, renowned for his rigorous military discipline and iron-fisted tactics. The flames of rebellion spread rapidly, prompting countless commoners to rally in support. Within a mere month, the ranks of the White Turban Army swelled to 300,000. On July 15th, the White Turban Army captured Jiangnan. By July 29th, they had taken Sangzhou, and on August 12th, Dingzhou fell. The second male lead is so reassuring. Yes, wrapped around her finger. By the time news reached the imperial court, it was already late August. Upon reading the battle reports, the emperor was seized by fury and distress, resulting in him spitting blood and fainting. At this juncture, the army had encroached upon Yuzhou, and beyond that lay the realm of Baizhou, where the capital resided. The foundation of the empire was crumbling. With no steadfast leader in the court, chaos ensued. It was then that the Grand Chancellor, Si Fengnian, proposed to elevate Princess Li Qingwei to the position of crown princess to govern in the emperor's stead. On the 1st of September, I was hastily ushered to the throne of crown princess. Before we could even deliberate on a commander to lead the troops, news arrived of the emperor's demise. Without delay, I ascended the throne, becoming the first female emperor of the Great Zhou. By September 3rd, the atmosphere in the court was one of despair. I issued my first imperial decree after ascending the throne, appointing the Grand Chancellor's eldest son, Si Qing'an, to negotiate peace. All believed I had lost my sanity, yet none dared to voice their opposition. With the nation on the brink of collapse, nobody wished to be labeled a traitor. The court was filled with spineless individuals. On September 20th, the White Turban Army capitulated. On the 1st of October, amidst the eyes of the multitude, the commander of the White Turban Army arrived in the capital. Clad in a resplendent yellow dragon robe, I stood atop the city walls, flanked by court officials, to welcome him. Mounted upon a tall warhorse, adorned in silver armor that glimmered coldly, he met my gaze, and the steely glint in his eyes softened in an instant. At last, the grand finale has arrived. I declare this to be the true drama. How exhilarating! The throne, a beloved, and Qingwei all that one could desire. Look at the second male lead. So lacking in ambition, has he forgotten how the female antagonist threatened him? Is he truly the submissive? Is his mind unhinged? The upstairs laughter is misplaced. He is content in his own way, yet you presume to feel pity for him. However, the second male lead does indeed seem unwell. Isn't being infatuated a kind of malady? 28. Once more, it is a moonlit night. The same palace, the same bed, the same figure. The man's fierce gaze, akin to that of a wild beast, fixates upon me, his movements relentless. I find it somewhat overwhelming and lightly slap him in protest. Be gentler. Do take care not to harm the child. He abruptly halts, incredulity etched across his features. What did you say? I impatiently deliver another slap. Why have you stopped? His eyes shimmer with an extraordinary light, revealing his discomposure. I don't know, are you all right? My hands find their way to his shoulders. It has been 3 months. Just be gentle. From Jiang Yu's perspective, an interlude. 1. From a young age, I sensed that my family harbored secrets. As the sole son of an ordinary merchant, my father never imparted the ways of commerce to me. Instead, I was schooled in the 4 books and 5 classics, the 6 arts of the gentleman, and the stratagems of warfare. In the Great Zhou, merchants were of lowly status, a hereditary class barred from civil examinations and military service. I could not fathom why I was required to acquire such knowledge. Yet, my father's insistence compelled me to comply. Later, my father arranged a marriage for me, the bride being Baiying, the courtesan of Itsue Tower. The sole justification was a fortune-teller's pronouncement that she would bring me fortune. I knew my father to be a rational man, not one to make such absurd decisions based on superstition. The only plausible explanation lay in that secret, the one my family had long concealed. I could not comprehend it, yet I acquiesced under my father's insistence. Before the wedding, I infiltrated Itsue Tower to meet the woman destined to be my wife. Delicate, beautiful, she resembled any other woman of the world. I believed my life would unfold in that manner. However, upon opening the door to the bridal chamber that night, I was met with an unfamiliar face. Radiant and splendid, akin to the resplendent moon above. Of course, her temperament matched her appearance, fierce and vivacious. I felt fortunate that I had agreed to my father's request for marriage, otherwise someone else would have wed Baying, and she would have graced another's chamber. Unaware of her own allure, she was like a small creature challenging a predator, mistakenly believing she had intimidated it, oblivious to the fact that the predator could easily ensnare her with a mere flick of its jaws. Fortunately, I was the one. And fortunately, I was sufficiently rational. I escorted her back to the Grand Chancellor's residence, where she deliberately summoned the household physician before me, revealing that she had been drugged with a soporific. Watching her tears cascade, though acutely aware of her deliberate ploy, I could not help but feel anguish. So much so that I wished to storm the residence of the Marquis and slay the man responsible. At that moment, I was unwilling to confront the base thoughts churning within me. Look, your fiancé has drugged you. You need not marry him any longer. What must I do? When I uttered this question, I had resolved that, should she nod in agreement, should she express a need for me, I would charge forth, clearing any obstacles in her path. Yet, she required none of my assistance. After all, she was the daughter of the Grand Chancellor, possessing both allies and means to resolve her troubles. 2. I returned to the Jiang residence and laid bare my intentions to my parents. My father's face was a tempest of shock and anger, his grip tightening around my hand as he implored me to bring Baying back. For the first time, I witnessed him lose his composure. I knew she was tied to that secret. Yet, inexplicably, I declined. I suddenly no longer wished to uncover that secret, no matter how pivotal it might be. That night, my father revealed to me the entirety of the secret. It turned out that I was a descendant of the leader of the righteous army, and behind me stood a legion of supporters, awaiting my maturation to elevate me to greatness. Baying, initially spared out of my father's fleeting compassion, became increasingly significant as the old emperor aged without a single prince or princess born. My father began to view her as a shortcut, or rather, a ladder to power. Yet, we never anticipated that events would spiral towards the unimaginable. I had not foreseen that the young lady would display such audacity, leading troops to storm the Marquis's residence at night, not only disfiguring Baying, but nearly injuring the Marquis's heir as well. Consequently, the emperor decreed punishment, resulting in mutual devastation. As I ventured into the Marquis's residence, I fortuitously encountered the emperor's decree for Baying's execution. After a moment's contemplation, I clandestinely allied with the Marquis's heir, executing a scheme to swap identities, successfully bringing Baying back to the Jiang residence. At that moment, I was determined that if the emperor ultimately punished the young lady's family, I would find a way to exchange her for Baying. Unexpectedly, she sent someone to seek me that very night. With a concealed delight in my heart, I unhesitatingly went to meet her. It was on this day that I truly comprehended the vast chasm that exists between individuals, a gulf capable of shattering my thoughts into fragments. Upon exiting the Grand Chancellor's residence, I believed we would have no further entanglements. Yet destiny has a knack for catching one off guard. Time and again, I found myself unable to let go, bound by ties I knew she was merely exploiting. I remained painfully aware, expending every ounce of strength to sever the connection. Until that fateful evening, the young girl gazed at me with a beaming smile and said, "Jiangyu, extend your hand." My body, unable to resist, instinctively opened my palm before her. She reached skyward toward the moon, grasping it delicately, and then placed it gently into the warmth of my hand. "Look, I've plucked the moon for you," she declared. I stood there, utterly transfixed. At that moment, the moon was mine. The flowers exuded their fragrance, the breeze was sweet, and even the night felt extraordinarily delightful. The girl's laughter curved like a crescent moon. As I looked at her, my heart commenced a grand celebration. There would be no escape. I thought to myself, since evasion was futile, let me devote my entire life to pursuing her. The story concludes here. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next tale.